Hello and welcome to day one of Camp Nano. It is July 1st. Don't know how we got here. Yes, it is day one of Camp Nano. It is Saturday. What do we have to do today? Well, first I need to eat. It's not quite noon, but it is late morning. I have been up for a little while, but just pottering around the house and getting myself dressed and somewhat ready for the day. It is the weekend, which means I'm not gonna put pressure on myself to do anything other than Camp Nano. And as I said in my last vlog, we're not putting pressure on camp anyway. I will do some work on my project. I think right now at the start of this vlog, I'm officially declaring at least 1 hour I'm gonna work on it. It'll probably end up being more, but I'm starting the vlog now. We're just gonna film this as like a Saturday vlog that just happens to also be the first day of camp. I need to reset my goals or like set new goals for July. I didn't do any of the July planning in the previous vlog. I printed out the pages, but I didn't do any of the actual planning. So do need to do some July planning, so I'll probably do some planning in this vlog and goal setting in this vlog, but also just a lot of relaxing. The Tour de France is starting today, so I've got stage 1 to watch of that, so I might have that going while I do some planning. Yeah, we're just gonna see where the day takes us. I'm excited for camp to start, and I'm excited because of the different approach that I'm taking that I talked about in the last vlog. So just a quick recap, if you missed the last vlog, go back and watch it. It shows how I prepared for camp and more about what my approach is. But basically we're taking a no stress, no pressure approach to camp this month. I have a lot of work I want to do overall, like outside of camp, and so I want camp to be something fun each day, not something that's just one more thing on my list to tick off, because then that's just gonna make me burn out. I'm learning about myself that it really is, like, if I'm having fun with something, it doesn't burn me out. And the burnout comes when I'm forcing myself to do something or forcing myself to do a certain amount of something, even when it is something I generally enjoy, like writing. So like sometimes I think it's hard for me to wrap my brain around, but also probably hard for other people to think, like, how can you burn out when you're doing something you really love? And it's like, well, if you're not doing that thing you love under the right circumstances, then that's where burnout comes. And so when I force myself to write a lot of words every day for a month straight, or when I force myself to work in certain situations or certain environments, and when I'm not listening to what my brain and my body are telling me it wants, you know, if there's a day where I'm just not feeling like writing, then if I force myself to write for 1,500 words, that's not a good situation. Like, as a writing coach, oh, by the way, hi, I'm Andrea. I'm a full-time writing instructor and a part-time content creator and indie author, and I'm also a writing coach. Should have put that at the beginning of this intro. But one of the things that I advocate for as a coach and as a writing teacher is to sit down and try to write every day, but to be okay with only writing 20 words or 100 words or only writing for 5 minutes. Sometimes our brains say they don't want to write, but as soon as we sit down and start writing, our brain's like, oh yeah, this actually isn't that bad. Like, actually I can do this today. And we end up writing more than we think, or we end up writing for longer than we think, and we have a good time. Other times you sit down to write, and after 5 minutes your brain is like, no, I don't want to do this. And at that point it's okay to stop and to not write. So while I advocate for writing every day, or having a daily writing practice that's maybe Monday through Friday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like whatever works with your schedule, if on one of your writing days you sit down to write and after 5 or 10 minutes or after 100 or so words, it's not working and you're just not feeling like staying in that space, it's okay to then not write. And I feel like that's something that things like camp or just the main event in November, it can make you feel like you have to commit to this really big thing and to doing it every day, even when you don't feel like it. And so that's what we're trying to avoid this month. I think this is going to be one of the first camps, if not the first camp, or first nano month in general, that I'm doing where I'm giving myself permission to not write every day, to not stick to a certain word amount. There might be some days where I only write 50 words and other days where I write 2,000. Like, I'm just going this month based on how I feel and where is the joy leading me. As long as I'm feeling a sense of joy and happiness and have that feeling of being content with my writing situation, I will let myself write. When I start to feel myself lose that, we're gonna stop for the day. Or we're gonna take a day off, or 2 days off, or whatever. So yeah, as I said in the last vlog, this is the place to be for no stress, no pressure, just fun, cozy writing vibes, because that is what we're channeling all month long. But I really need to get my coffee, and I need to sit down because I can feel my back starting to lock up again. It was really bad last night, so I don't want a repeat of that. So I'm gonna get myself all comfy cozy on the couch and just relax and enjoy Saturday. Oh, and enjoy the beautiful peonies and dahlias that I bought. I went a little bit flower wild at Whole Foods yesterday. I couldn't decide between the two, so I bought bouquet little bunches of both. Really splurged on flowers this week. The peonies are slowly starting to open up, but they just look so pretty mixed together with the dahlias, so I've been enjoying that a lot. Okay, sorry, I'm so distracted and it's getting a bit late in the day. It is nearly 4 o'clock. I do want to do some, it won't be writing today, it'll be outlining, so that my words today will be from outlining, not writing. I do want to do some writing today. I've just been having a lovely afternoon. I'm watching the tour, so I've got the TV rotated or turned around so I can see it from the desk. I'm going to be working on this desktop today. So I've got my planner set up. I've got a mug of iced tea because I wanted to have a nice cozy mug, but it's also hot out. So I don't really want a hot drink. Yes, it's time to get to work. So I've been doing some bits. I was doing some more looking around at apartments and homes for my characters. It's one of my favorite things. Like, I have no reason right now to look at apartments and houses and things like that. So when I write a book, it's kind of fun to look at different properties just to get an idea of where my characters would live. So goals. I thought we'd talk about goals really quick. I do need to do some planning in general. I need to set up my planner for July. Like, it's set up, I need to do the actual planning, like goal setting and stuff. So I need to look back at what didn't get done in June. So let's do that really quick. What didn't get done last month? Quite a lot, to be honest, but that's okay. Yeah, I didn't complete anything in Royal Romance. None of my goals in Royal Romance got completed. That's okay. Independent Hearts, I got the rough draft done and I got the cover presentation done, but I didn't do any work on the cover illustration. Across the Pond 4, I got the Kindle read-through done and I got the cover presentation done, but I didn't finish the Scrivener read-through, and I prepped for Across the Pond 5, but I didn't do any of the outlining, so I can't cross anything off there. And I didn't get the cover illustration done for that either. Marketing and coaching tasks, all I got done was I did run the bulk update on the paperback pricing, and I did send out a newsletter, so that's awesome. That was huge, but then I didn't do anything else. So I don't know, it's one of those things where like I could beat myself up for everything I didn't get done in June, or I could just be really happy about the stuff I did get done in June. And I'm choosing to just be happy about the stuff I did get done in June. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, it's funny because when I look at my weekly task lists, I got a lot of stuff done each week. I think what I need to like ease up on myself is some of the tasks in June were really big tasks, and so even though I didn't finish them, there were a couple weeks where I didn't do as much. I still made a lot of progress on those things. So I'm just gonna roll them over to July, and that's fine. I kind of knew that was going to happen. So I think I'm gonna set a timer and do a few minutes of planning, and then we will start doing some book work. Oh, the other thing I did, so I did some apartment hunting, but I also finally got caught up on all of the YouTube comments you guys so kindly leave me, and then I take an absolute age to get back to you. I do reply to all of my comments, and if I am late in replying to comments, it's only because I'm holding off until I can leave a thoughtful comment in return. I don't want to just heart your comment so that you know that I read it and then not say something. So I've replied to all the comments. I've read all your lovely comments, especially on the preparing for Camp Nano video vlog. I was glad that so many of you, like, you understand me. You understand where I'm coming from. A lot of you are also planning to be kind of at the back of the pack for Camp Nano this month. I feel like I'm not alone, and that's a very lovely feeling. So that's exciting. But it was interesting because I kept seeing a kind of recurring theme from quite a few of you where you love the idea of Nano and you love the community aspect of Nano, but officially registering on the website feels like, everyone described it a little bit differently, but I've had some people say it feels like taking a class, or it feels like you're locking yourself into something and it triggers this like really negative spiral if you start to like fall off the wagon or just not keep up. And I, you know, I'm here to validate you, you know, in that how you feel is how you feel. And I definitely have had similar feelings, and I'm just choosing to ignore those feelings for this. Like, I'm choosing to ignore the badges, and I will have a daily goal in mind, but if I don't meet that, I don't meet that. If I skip a day or two, I skip a day or two. My only goal this month is to have fun. That is my only goal. If I'm not having fun, I'm gonna step away for a day or two until I can have fun. Then I will let myself come back to the Nano environment. I really want to try to create a sense of community around here on this channel using the community tab, and I started doing that a little bit in April, and then I got distracted because it was the end of the month. But I will try to make a note to like post more frequently on the community page here on my YouTube channel, so if that's something you're able to check. And I'll try to like post more in my stories and like post polls and questions and things. I'm gonna try to be more active on social media without having that be what causes burnout, but I really want to foster that sense of community, and I want to give you all a place where you can participate, and YouTube is not really the best place for that. So please feel free to like each other's comments, reply to each other's comments, ask questions. If you see someone asking a question, don't assume it's just for me to answer. Feel free to give your own advice. Like, feel free to be more active. And I think the community tab might be a good place to do some of that. But like, I don't want anyone to feel like they're missing out on the community aspect because they're not registered on the NaNo website. And so maybe we do need to do some YouTube lives or something this month here on this channel, because then we can be more interactive in the chat and stuff. I've been on this platform for over 7 years and I still don't know how to do a YouTube live. Like, I know, like, conceptually, like, theoretically how to start one, but then I think I need to just get over my fear of it and just accept that the first time I do a YouTube live, there's going to be a million glitches and things are going to go wrong, and just dive in anyway. So maybe that's a challenge I need to set for myself this month, is to just do some YouTube lives. Let me know in the comments if you would pop on to a YouTube live, if there's a particular day of the week that would be better. Like, obviously you can watch the replays, but like, it won't be that much fun if I go live and no one's there. I'll make it work. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Planning, goal setting, timer setting. Where's my phone? I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm gonna do a speed round of some planning, and then we will start writing and chat book stuff. Okay, 15 minutes, go. Okay, so I've done some planning. I'm ready to start writing, but I wanted to go over what some of my goals are. I'm not going to bore you all with too many details, so we're just going to roll through this really quick. For Independent Hearts 3, I want to finish, or I want to do my Kindle read through, and then I need to finish at least one Scrivener read through, if not 2. I need to do a lot of developmental editing in that project this month. I also need to make a lot of cover design progress on that book. Royal Romance is dropping to the bottom of the list, but I would like to get 10 more chapters of my Scrivener read through done for that. So I got through chapters 1 through 8 last month. I've got little check marks for chapters 9 through 18, so I can cross off each chapter as I get it done. So even if I only get 3 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, I can cross those off and see that I at least made some progress. Marketing and coaching, there's stuff, but I'll mention stuff as I go through the month probably. And then across the pond, I'm working on book 4 and book 5. So book 4, I'm editing. I want to finish draft 1.5 by the end of this month, and again, getting massive progress on the cover illustration is the other main goal. For both books 4 and 5, I'm also doing just a general reread of books 1 through 3. So I'll be rereading all 3 of those books this month, and then I can make notes for things in book 4 for the editing, and make notes for things in book 5 for the outlining that I need to know. And then as far as camp is concerned, I'm aiming for 15,000 words. So I want to keep building out Babisco, keep building out Scrivener, tracking my words, making notes, doing lots of character development in Babisco, building out that outline. I'm going to start the outline in Babisco like I did, and also start building out the timeline in Babisco using the timeline feature. So we're going to be doing some work in Babisco today. But as far as Camp Nano, we are working towards 15,000 words, which Camp Nano is telling me is roughly, or not roughly, it is 484 words per day. So we'll be aiming for just under 500 words per day. I do think that number is going to come down each day, and that's great. As far as Scrivener is concerned, to get to my goal of 110,000 words by February, end of February, I need, and writing Monday through Friday, I need 641 words. So that is also still currently below 1,000. So I think that number is going to come down a lot as well over the course of this month, because I'll be writing Monday through Sunday most weeks this month, not Monday through Friday like Scrivener is currently set for. So I do have a word goal, but as I mentioned in the last vlog, the bigger goal for this month is to just have fun. But I've got a flashing battery light, which is concerning because my other battery is still charging. I'm gonna start getting some work done. Don't know how I'm gonna film time lapses, but we'll try. And then we will talk more about Camp Nano and my project, but it's nearly 5 o'clock. I don't know how that happened. No pressure. No pressure, no stress, just fun. We're just having fun. So, so I'm gonna get back to having fun and enjoying writing, and 484 words is not gonna be a problem. So we're good. Okay, it is just about 6 o'clock. I don't think I'm done yet. I want to keep going just a little bit longer. It looks like I've written 393 words, so it is taking me a while, but only because I'm working across the whole kind of first half of the book rather than focusing on just one chapter, because I have enough ideas. Like, this is this is the difficulty about outlining. I know I could write 500 words easily if I was actually writing a scene, but it really does take me longer to outline than it does to write, because I'm bouncing around in so many different places. But like, I have several nearly complete scene ideas in my head right now, and if I was just focusing on writing those scenes, hitting my word count would be no problem. So I've got 393 words right now, but I know part of that is, you know, that I've written out chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So all of those count towards my word count as well. I need to keep writing, but I figured I'd stop and talk to you guys for a little bit, take a bit of a break, and also answer a question that I got on one of the vlogs recently, since it's kind of relevant to what I've been doing. So the very first thing I do, as you will have just seen, is I go through and I label it chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And then I go in and I put in my main kind of tent poles of the story, the main kind of peaks that everything works towards. So we start off with the intro and the setup, and in romance, some sort of meet cute. Then I put in the midpoint, which in my case is going to be around chapter 12, because there's 24 chapters. And then in between the beginning and the midpoint, and the midpoint I label as pinch point 2. So in between the beginning and midpoint, somewhere like halfway between there, is the first pinch point. So that's like a little mini thing that happens that just shifts the direction of the story and shakes up the pace of the story. So then we go from pinch point 1 to pinch point 2, and then somewhere between pinch point 2 and the climax is the third pinch point. So you kind of have these 4 main tent poles: pinch point 1, midpoint, which is pinch point 2, pinch point 3, and then the climax, which is kind of essentially the 4th pinch point, the biggest pinch point. After the climax, there's the pit of despair, the darkest night. It gets called a few different things, but there's usually a chapter, or at least half of a chapter, where it feels like all hope is lost, everything's falling apart, how are we going to fix this problem? In romance, often this is where the characters break up. I haven't always done that, because I feel like it can get predictable as a writer if in every book your characters almost break up or whatever. But that's usually where there's some sort of big miscommunication, or there's something that somehow threatens the main characters or whatever. So you've got the climax that sets that off, and then you've got the pit of despair, darkest night, where you don't know how you're going to recover from the climax and the events of the climax, and then you've got the resolution chapter. So, and then everything is wonderful and life is good and everything gets resolved. So I go in and label all of those sections in what chapter I think roughly they're going to happen. This can all change as I'm writing. I can decide, ooh, actually I need an extra chapter to set this up. Something took longer than I thought, or ooh, I'm actually ready for this moment a chapter earlier than I expected. But at this stage, it helps to have those main kind of tent poles in place so that I can start to visualize the story. One of the questions that I had was, how do I come up with how many chapters per book, or how many chapters am I going to have in one of my books? So there's two things. One, you can just decide. The first thing I did was I kind of decided, because I'll do the math again, I think I had decided originally, if, like with the Independent Heart series, those are 20 chapters. It's a little bit shorter. And then Across the Pond is usually between 23 and 24 chapters. And the chapter number that I start off with can change. Sometimes I get to the final draft and I've had a big chapter that I have to split into two, or I thought I was going to have a number of chapters and then realized, ooh, I'm wrapping up faster than I anticipated, and so I get rid of one of the chapters because as I'm outlining, I realize I don't have an idea of what to put in that chapter. I don't think I need it. One thing you can do is you can take your total word count and say, I'm aiming for 100,000 words, and let's say my average chapter length is going to be around 4,000 words. So you can do 100,000 divided by 4,000, and that would give you 25 chapters. And so I'm doing 24 chapters and an epilogue. Or in the case of Independent Hearts, when I first started doing it, I thought I was going to do 90,000 words, divide that by 4,000, and that would have given me 22.5 chapters. I typically do about 20 chapters plus a prologue and an epilogue in that. So you can kind of start with your total word count and then divide by what you think your average chapter length would be. I know that my chapters tend to be between 3,000 and 5,000, like 3,000 as the shortest, 5,000 as the longest. Of course, I have written chapters longer than 5,000, but on average, it's between that range. So 4,000 is kind of in between 3,000 and 5,000. So 4,000 is kind of my average that I aim for, knowing that some chapters will be shorter and some chapters will be longer. So that's one way you can calculate. Another way is to look at books in your genre and look at their chapter numbers, but then also look at their average chapter length. So some romances will have like 40 or 50 chapters, but their chapters are all really short. It's like each chapter is a different scene, whereas some of my chapters will have 2 or 3 scenes in that chapter. So if I did one chapter per scene, I probably would have more like 40 chapters. Looking at other books in your genre can also help you kind of figure out. I see a lot of romance books that are also kind of 4-ish thousand words plus or minus a bit, and around 20 to 25 chapters. And so that's kind of where I stood. I think when I first started, I just looked at a bunch of the kind of chick lit novels that I had that were among my favorites and just kind of looked at how many chapters they had, and I knew I was aiming for a similar length as their books. But then as I've been doing more reading, I've definitely found the occasional romance where and I'm sure it's more than what I'm reading, but there are definitely romance novels that are more chapters, but shorter chapters, and they go by really, really quick. Those are just two ways that you can figure it out. If you're going to kind of take a stab in the dark and guess, I would err on the side of shorter chapters than longer chapters. Like 5,000 words really is the longest I will let my chapters be. I will let the occasional 6,000 word chapter sneak in, but in that case, I'm definitely looking at possibly splitting them up into 2 chapters. If a chapter is wanting to be 6,000 words or more long, especially if there's more than one scene in that chapter, I will try to split it up. Just because readers will, it can break up the pacing of your novel if your chapters are really, really long. I think you can have the occasional long chapter in there, but the reader needs to feel like they're moving through the story. And if it's one long chapter after another, they're gonna get tired and burned out and not want to keep reading. They're gonna put your book down with the intention of coming back to it, and then they won't come back to it because they'll remember, oh, it's just such long chapters. Of course, how long of a chapter is too long is completely subjective. Some people would probably think that 4,000, 5,000 words is way too long for a chapter, whereas for me, 8,000 words is a long chapter to me, and 5,000 to 6,000 words is fine as long as it's not every single chapter. So it all depends. Anyway, I've been talking for 19 minutes. But I had some thoughts on that. So yeah, I hope that helps. So this is kind of where I'm at. I've got my chapters broken up. I'm starting to fill in this outline. So if you watch my outlining video, how I outline my novels, my easy outlining method, it's really good, especially if you're not really much of an outliner. I start off by labeling out all of my chapters, and then the next step is doing like 1 sentence per chapter or a few sentences per chapter, like 25 to 50 words per chapter. And then once all the chapters have that little blurb, a few ideas, a few sentences, then I go through and bump them all up to like 100 words per chapter, and then 150 or 200. And so I just keep adding. And if you're not much of an outliner, you could start writing as soon as you have like 1 sentence per chapter. You've got a rough roadmap, you're good to go. If you're more of a super outliner, like I sometimes am, and like I'm aiming for camp, then I'll try to get up as close to 1,000 words per chapter as I can. We're still at the beginning of that, but I'm going to keep trying to get at least, I think, the first, I've got 6 chapters so far that stuff have written in. So I'm going to keep developing those, maybe do 7 and 8. That should get me up to my word count for the day. I'm going to work for another, say 15 minutes. I'm going to set a timer, 15 minutes, and then I'll think about dinner. I'm not that hungry though, so I don't know what I'm going to have, but we'll think about dinner in about 15 minutes. Hi. Okay, we're done. We're wrapping up this vlog because I know it's long enough. It's already too long, and I'm gonna have fun editing it tomorrow, and I also have to vlog tomorrow. And I usually these days I've been trying not to vlog on the days that I have to edit a vlog, because editing just takes up so much time that it's like, you guys don't need to watch me edit a vlog while I watch the Tour de France tomorrow. So going to have to plan my day very strategically tomorrow, because I do really want to vlog tomorrow. I guess I could, no, I can't vlog Monday because then I'd have to edit on the 4th of July, and I don't want to edit on the 4th of July. Hashtag vlogger problems, which are even less difficult than first world problems, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, the logistical issues you have to think about when you are a vlogger. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this vlog up because it's long. But thank you for spending day 1 of Camp Nano with me. I feel like we're off to a good start. 628 words, which Scrivener was telling me 641 words were needed today, but it's not a writing day. I think we're good because I'm going to do more writing tomorrow, and so this should still, even though I'm not meeting that goal, it should still bring that number down overall on Monday. Anyway, not important. I did 628, so I did do over what was required of the 484 words on Camp Nano's website, or on the NaNoWriMo website. So that's good. I'm really excited about this project. I could have written more, like if I let myself start going towards writing and not just outlining. The first third of the book seems to be coming pretty quickly. So like when I look at what I've got so far, chapter 1 is pretty solid, chapter 2 is pretty solid, chapter 3 is really solid, chapter 3 is 163 words. So I've got a lot of words written in chapter 3. Chapter 4 is a little less solid, but still good. That's one where I know I've got room to add in an extra scene, otherwise it'll be a fairly short chapter, which would be fine. Chapter 5, I don't have much written, so like it can get expanded, but I know what chapter 5 will be, so I'm just trying to think if there's going to be a few scenes, a few, I want to say beats, but beats, I'm not using it in the same way that I feel like it gets used. I feel like when we talk about story beats, they tend to be a little bit larger, and like maybe micro beats. Is that a word or a thing? Can we make that a thing? Like if chapter 5 is a whole story beat or plot beat, then there's going to be 3 or 4 like moments in that one beat. I need to stop using terms that I don't really understand because I don't use the story beat structure. But yeah, chapter 5 is going to have a few different moments in it. So just figuring out what those are, but like I know generally what chapter 5 is going to be. Chapter 6 is the first pinch point. I just have like a very broad brush stroke of what happens, but that needs more development. But then chapter 7 is kind of like the reaction of whatever happens in chapter 6. So I've got more in that. And then I've got a bit in chapter 8. But then chapter 9 has nothing. 10 has nothing. 11 has a little bit just because and chapter 12 has kind of what that midpoint is going to be. So I just put down what I know needs to happen in chapter 11 to set up chapter 12. So, and then everything after chapter 12 is pretty much empty except for the big tentpole moments that I know are going to be in place. So the first half of the novel has something, but of those first 12 chapters, there's still a few, yeah, I'd say there's like 3 or 4 that still need to be pushed a little bit further. There's a couple that have nothing. So I'll probably work on that tomorrow, maybe getting more of the first half kind of fleshed out tomorrow. So we'll see. But that's still exciting. So I'm feeling very happy with where things are at and how things are going. I'm still figuring out my main male character's new name because, as I mentioned before, I need to change his name because it turns out I've already used his name. I have a short list of like 6 or 7 names, so I'm just kind of mulling them all over and thinking about which one do I really like best. He has a last name and his last name is fine, so it's also like which of these names goes best with his last name, because I'm not changing that. I'm not renaming him completely. I'm just renaming his first name. Otherwise, it's going really well, and I'm really happy. And Deborah Carroll wants to be buddies on NaNoWriMo. So Deborah, accepted. Welcome. I'm glad to be buddies with you. I've also accepted Starbooks today, and Francis Hill today, and someone with the username Golden Emerald. So I've got some new buddies. I've picked up some new buddies today on the NaNoWriMo website. So that's exciting. So yeah, it's been a nice day. It's been a nice day. It's been a nice Saturday. And tomorrow's Sunday. So I definitely want to relax tomorrow, even though I know I've got work that I need to do. I'm just checking on the status of the Tour de France. I need to pause it. I'm gonna have to rewind a bit because I'm missing the last bit of this and I don't really want to miss it, but we're gonna end this vlog. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. If you have, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let me know what your day one was like. How was your day one of Camp Nano? How are you doing? Did you have fun? That is going to be the question that I'm going to ask you guys a lot this month. Are you having fun? I had fun today. I'm tired. I don't feel well. That's other normal stuff for me, so it's nothing to be worried about, but it is just irritating me a bit. That's all there. But overall, as far as camp is concerned, I had fun today. I'm really, it's always fun starting a new project. I love this part. I mean, I love so many parts about the whole process, but like I really do love this part, so I'm really trying to enjoy it, and yeah, it's going really well, so I'm excited to do some more of this tomorrow. So come back to the next vlog for that. Say hi in the comments, let me know how you're doing, leave me some London and UK based emojis because I'm back in London for this project. Well, it hasn't been that long since I've been in London as a writer, like, you know, mentally, because I was just working on Across the Pond 4. I only finished that back in March, end of March. So it's only been, you know, all of April, all of May. It's only been 3 months since I've mentally visited London, but we're back in London sooner than expected, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. So between working on outlining this book and editing book 4, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in London this summer. I mean, I wish I was actually in London. That would be nice, but this is, it's not a close substitute, but it's a substitute. It'll do. Leave me some UK based emojis. I'll let you be creative about that in honor of being back in London for Nano, or you can leave me some emojis related to whatever your project is or whatever book you're reading. I think that would be interesting. Books in emoji form. But yes, if you're leaving me a comment, just if you're participating in camp, let me know how your camp is going. If you're not participating in camp, let me know how your July is going, because by the time you're watching this, we'll be a couple days in. So how's your July starting? How was your weekend? Do you have any plans for the 4th? Let me know. But with that, I'm gonna go, and I will see you all very soon in the next vlog. Thank you for watching this one. I'm so tired I'm even forgetting how to do this. Yeah, goodbye.